Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Lauren. I am the strategic growth partner here at Build Something Real. I like to share my experience as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, and as a strategic growth partner. All of this information is free. Use it as you will. If you have questions, please reach out. Today, we are checking out and really diving into a sales funnel. Really diving into how to first differentiate your client base from other consumers and customers in the marketplace. We're gonna dive into how to create a sales funnel and follow up on that sales funnel. There's gonna be a lot of people out here, guys, a lot of YouTube videos that go through high ticket sales, those tactics, communication tactics, and I might do another video on that later, but for right now, that's not the most important thing. My assumption for you is that you have a product, you have a solution that other people are looking for. My assumption also is that you've already checked out my video on how to get your digital marketing up and running for this service, for this business, for this solution. If you haven't already, please go check that out. It's gonna be a whole lot easier to understand, and it's gonna be a whole lot easier to juggle your sales funnel and the people that you have coming in. There's no reason to throw a hook out there if you don't have any bait, right? So we wanna make sure that the hook that we have is gonna be our website that we've already built. The hook that we have is already going to be Google local services, Google my business profile. That's all in that in one of my last videos. Please check it out. It's also going to be a Yelp, business page, maybe a better business bureau page that you're going to want to already have in place before you just go cold calling, door knocking. A lot of times, small businesses will use pamphlets and brochures or business cards, and those are good, but they do only go so far. So we want to make sure that we have something in place in 2025 that people see that you're legit, and for us, that's on the digital marketplace, that is on the internet. It helps people know that you're real. So now that we have that out of the way, you need to go check out that other video if you don't already have those things. If you do, and now we're moving on, we're going to start differentiating your customers from the other consumers in the marketplace. I had a mentor at one point tell me, I was building at this point, it would have been my third business, small business association for the United States. A lot of times there's free mentorship. It's a SBA mentor. It's called a SCORE mentor, SCORE. They're totally free mentors. He was willing to meet with me once a week. Even when I started another business, I tried to grab a SCORE mentor. He didn't have any experience in the industry that I was diving into. So I've had to wait to see if another mentor would come up, because these are volunteers a lot of times. They're not paid for their expertise. So you also want to interview those people, those mentors. Who are you seeking to mentor you? So anyways, I had a SCORE mentor. He was amazing. He had actually been in corporate sales for, I want to say 40 years or something. I believe that he worked for GE. And so at the time, I didn't really see how his experience was going to benefit me at all, because his experience was different from my experience, right? Here I am, a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, starting from bootstrap, $1,500 that I'm throwing at a website. I'm throwing at SEO. I'm throwing at cleaning equipment. It was a cleaning business that I had in Phoenix, Arizona. And so it was really small for me compared to like a corporate size GE sales tactic, but I was able to take a lot away from it. So it was for me, it was finding those similarities. And one thing that he said explicitly is, he said, "Well, Lauren, who is your ideal client?" And I looked blankly. I said, "Well, isn't everybody my ideal client? Don't I want to clean everybody's house?" And he goes, "Well, no, not necessarily." He was like, "You might want to target a certain audience." And you're going to find a lot of videos that talk about targeting as well. I talk about it when it comes to Google My Business Profile and Google Local Services. You can target a location. You can target certain keywords. You can target, when it comes to social media, you can target a certain type of people. And so we want to make sure that we know exactly who that is. John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneurs on Fire, is a great podcast. He talks about his target clientele. I think he names the guy Joe. Joe drives 15-20 minutes to work every day. Joe hates his 9 to 5. He targeted every single thing that he did on Entrepreneurs on Fire for this made up avatar Joe.
Hello.
Which it helped me tremendously. It helped me tremendously to start to really click in and go, who are my target audiences? At the time, of course, because I had built out my website properly, I had a Google My Business profile page, I was quickly getting a lot of residential cleanings. It's a needed service. Realtors need it, people moving need it, house moms need it, house dads need it. It doesn't matter who it is. People need, cleaning services. And a lot of times if you're good, they're gonna keep you around for a long time. So there's plenty of houses out here, so there's plenty of business for other cleaners to get on it. I think what I also found is that wasn't my ideal client. It did pay the bills for a time, but my ideal client was a client that was willing to contract me for years, right? 3 to 5 years is what large janitorial businesses do. And with that said, that is, saying that you want to make sure that you're able to tailor your marketing strategy to these people, because that is what targeting is going to allow us to do. It's going to allow us to target exactly who we're looking for. I was looking for commercial jobs, and so that meant that I needed a hook on my website that targeted at commercial jobs. I also needed my SEO to line up with that, search engine optimization to line up with those types of jobs. And then it also gave me a script to be able to use and go after. And it also lent itself to, who was I cold calling? What kind of doors was I going to be knocking? As opposed to everybody's doors. Phoenix is a big city, and you could knock everybody's doors and you could call everybody's phone, but it narrowed down who I was really looking for in my cold call adventures, right? And so for me, it was commercial, industrial plants, and then it was also property managers. I wanted large scale property managers to bring in recurring revenue, right? And that's just how it was for me. For you, this is going to look a little different. So let's say that you have a product, you have a solution right now that is geared towards, well, you think everybody. Let's start narrowing it down. Who is it really geared towards? Because the millennial is going to have a different eye than maybe a person in their 60s, right? Or maybe a boomer that's retiring. And with that different eye, we're able to capture the things that they like or don't like, especially if we're talking about social media targeting, social media ads. You have to begin capturing the demographic of people that you're looking for, even if you're working with a marketer. These are going to be clear questions that a marketer is going to ask you. Hey, who do you want to sell this service to? Who do you want to sell this product to, this business to, or whatever? That's going to be first thing. First things first is we need the ideal client. We need the person that our services are for. Then from there, we can move on and move up. Once we have the ideal client, now we have to find the medium of getting them. Google My Business profile. Maybe there's Google local services because you provide a local service. Maybe there's Yelp. These are going to be ways and mediums for people to come to your website. Well, remember, your website isn't the only thing that you have. And so for me, one of my skills is relationships and communication. Building relationships through communication is one of my skills. So I knew that if I could find a medium that would lend itself to that I had a higher chance of turning clients. And so that meant phone calls for me. I was going to cold call. Monish Pabrai is the founder and partner of Pabrai Investment Fund. He is managing over, I want to say, $1 billion in assets. And don't quote me on that. That is Wikipedia. Please go check out any other viable source. But he talks about in his first business, in creating his sales funnel, it was cold calling. Now, he had already picked his sector, and he talks about it very clearly in a podcast called The Diary of a CEO. where he's done an interview, he talks about it clearly. He had picked his sector, or who he was focusing on, and then he started his cold calling. Well, this is exactly what I did for one of my businesses, my cleaning company. I was also in college at the time. I was working at the time, and so I was a little bit busy. So I would pick an hour, maybe 2 hours out of the day where I wasn't doing homework or studying or in class or working and doing other things, that I would only cold call. And I'm going to be honest with you, I had this idea that I was going to, be able to cold call 100 people in that time. That for sure did not happen. Cold calling does take a little bit longer than I think some people realize. A lot of times I had people that never answered, so I'm leaving messages. A lot of times I had people hang up, they didn't need any of it. But that's not what a sales funnel is about. A sales funnel is about numbers, right? We're creating this funnel to get as many numbers into that thing as possible, because one is going to go through. One, and all you need is one, because one is going to be the motivation to go get two, right? All I need is one commercial or industrial contract for me to want to go get another one, and for me to work to go get another one. That was my goal. My goal was an industrial or commercial contract. I wanted a 3 to 5 year contract. When I got that first one, and it was cold calling. It was cold calling businesses to make sure I could get the conversation going, to make sure that I could use my skills. My skills were conversation, as it still is now. So we've figured out the sector or our ideal customer. Now we're finding the medium to be able to track and attach ourselves to our ideal customer. Once we've done that, now it's the follow-up, right? The follow-up, Monish Prabrai talks about his follow-up game in his first business. It was, once I sent my letter that first time, I also forgot that is a whole nother medium, right? Handwritten letters. You can do this through mailers that look handwritten. There's whole services out there that provide that. I have a lot of real estate investors that I work with that is how they started their business, in order to get wholesale clients, in order to get people that were willing to sell their properties off market. They would write mailers. A good buddy of mine, that's how he still runs his business, and he does $50,000 per flip. I think he's running 3 to 4 flips at a time right now, and they run about 3-month span. So for him, that mailers seem to work, and he would do it in what looked like handwriting, that somebody had written this out point blank. Now Monish Prabrai does something he takes it one step further. He realized that his first contact in that medium, and maybe even phone as well, if I'm cold calling or if I'm door knocking, he realized that using someone's full name and last name or Mrs. or Mr. Can also, be a red flag. I think about my mom. My mom's first name is Maria, and she doesn't go by Maria at all. So when people call for Maria, we're all like looking around like, who the hell is that? She knows immediately that it's somebody trying to sell her something, or it's a bill collector or something of the nature. And so I think what I'm getting at, and what Monish Prabrai talks about, is in your letters or in your phone call, let it be natural. If there is a David, maybe we call him Dave in our letter. If there is, a Stephen, maybe we call him Steve on the phone. And then he also started using that name throughout the letter. So it would be a very, almost a friendly letter. That way, if there was a gatekeeper involved, it would quickly look like this person was a friend and not just somebody trying to sell services. So he noticed a difference with that. You might not. It depends on the service. It also depends on the sector that you're going for. For me, I was going after small enough businesses. A lot of times I was talking to the person that was making the decisions. And that was either helpful or hurtful, because people are still, hanging up. And I don't blame them. I mean, when you're a business out here, you have people calling you all day trying to get your money. And so it can be tough. It can be tough to weed out and know what you really need or want. All right, so we figured out our customer. We've also, maybe our customer also had led to the medium of which we're going to reach out to this customer, and now you've started creating your sales funnel. At this point though, your sales funnel is pretty small. So in order to increase the size of the sales funnel, it's not only going to be the number of people that you call and reach out to, but the follow-up game is also going to be a big factor here. In my cold calling for my cleaning business, I did not follow up. I would only follow up on ones that either I talked to and I said I would follow up with, or I would only follow up on ones that maybe they called me back, but never the ones that I just left a message for. And now that I'm learning more, and now that I've had more experience, even in my own personal life, I realize that the follow-up game is actually where it happens. I have bought products, I have bought services on follow-up, right? There's one in particular, a company that I work with that helped me fund one of my businesses and my business venture. It's called Fund and Grow. Hopefully I'll do a video all about it and our experience with it. It changed our life. It changed what I was able to do in business, even the creative aspect of it. And I didn't use Fund and Grow because of the first time of me reaching out to them or them reaching out to me. It was on Fund and Grow's follow-up game. I believe that they would follow up once a week, maybe twice a week, and it worked. And it was via text too, so a lot of people are like, oh, this is scam. But the truth is, I'm so busy, you guys are so busy, sometimes that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. If we do go back and just talk about what Monish Prabrai had said that he had done, his follow-up game was the initial contact letter, and then every week, right, he would add some other form of follow-up. Now, if he had just done it the week before, it would be 1 week, but then he would begin skipping a week after that, maybe a couple of weeks after that. But in his words, now you're in my sales funnel, and you're not going to leave my sales funnel until you politely tell me to stop altogether. So now that we know exactly who we're looking for, we know the medium at which we're going to get it, and we now know how to build out our sales funnel in a way to bring in that follow-up game. The very next thing is going to be to implement it. Guys, this is easy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you for hopping on to build something real, and I know that you are going to build something real. Let me know how I can help. Reach out, follow, like, subscribe. Talk to you later.